Hello, my wonderful friends. So Terry's asking a quick question, and I thought I would answer it in a video post. So, what do you do when How do you know whether it's time to change? This is really an interesting question. Nobody really has the right time for you, in terms of we can say on this physical realm. Nobody knows exactly when you are going to do something or not do something, right? You have to make that choice. And in the spiritual realm, it's interesting because you still have free will as to your soul's path and your soul's unfolding. I know that Robert Schwartz says in Your Soul's Gift and Your Soul's Plan that if you learn a lesson that you had planned before your life, if you learned a particular lesson in some other way, something doesn't need to happen. A particular challenge doesn't need to happen. So the question is, if you removed your limits, and forget about the plan at first, if you just didn't have any kind of plan, and you removed any kind of limits for yourself, what would you be doing? And then it's with that plan then that comes out of that things start happening. Am I making sense? Because you could squander your energy. See, your life is like a currency in this body. So if you actually want to do something, you'll feel it in your gut, your soul. Now, if somebody introduces you to something while you're doing something else that you wanted to do, is that making sense? You're doing something you'd be doing anyway, you're enjoying, and then somebody introduces something else, and that seems, you know what? I would like to try that. I would like to incorporate it somehow into what I'm already doing, or maybe try it this weekend. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with trying different things or exploring. I think when people are worried about change or concerned about change is when they have the stakes at a high level. They feel that, well, how can I change? And one of the appeals of minimalism, and I know that for many years this is kind of how I lived my life, when I lived out of suitcases and backpacks and just duffel bags, and moved around as an English teacher, and just as a college student and then graduate student, one of the things that I found very liberating is I didn't have to prepare much to move. So that from where you are, am I making sense, to where you'd like to be is shorter. The distance is shorter. So literally I would think of something I wanted to do and I said, I haven't been here before. Let me try that. You don't really have the roots at that time. At least I didn't. I felt there's nothing holding me back. There's nothing, and not to say that if we decide to stay somewhere that we're being held back. However, what ends up happening at times is different things will allow you to move for different reasons. I've done research on this. It is interesting. And by the way, a great book on this is Who's Your City by Robert Florida. WHO''S, Your City. YOUR, space city. And then question mark. And then he has another one called The Creative Class. And a librarian at the last college where I taught at, he actually explained that this was where I taught. So this is where I learned about Robert Florida and his amazing work. Very good website is findyourspot.com. Anyway, they can give you criteria that you can use to select where you're going to plan to move. But people move for a variety of reasons. Family, I've done research on this. Family, they move because of cultural opportunities, job opportunities. They want to live closer to the beach, or any number of things, tax incentives. And so what I found is, at least for myself, is there needs to be some situation that would cause me to move for some reason. What would be the reason? Let's say I got married. I found somebody and then I married her, and then maybe she wanted to be close to her family. I would have to look at my life situation here, and I hadn't thought about that. What impact would that have? And remember, you can always do everything and get different consequences. You can try, if I go this way, in other words, if I go this way, I'll close out these opportunities or options, but I'm going this way. And then if I go this way, then, I'm closing out this possibility for now and going this way. So you got everything open to you is what I mean to say. And then it's just a matter of which way do I want to go. And then this is interesting. You might move somewhere, have a job, get laid off, and then have another job which is even better. Now usually that ends up happening. You might have a situation like Jerry, you were bringing up with the apartment on the post you were mentioning below. Um, or if you might wonder about whether or not it's time to move, or I have a place, how do I know? And the thing is, you'll get signs also. In addition to all the other things we talked about that are external, sometimes you can pray to the universe. You can literally, or pray to whatever God you want to, and you can actually request signs. And that's actually how, in another video blog, I'll talk about this. Signs kind of led me to dog number 3, not for 4. Like dog number 4, I didn't really have to do anything, and the dog came to me. Dog number 3 was amazing. There were people involved, angels involved, newspaper clippings involved, the radio was involved, a group was involved, all these people that were just kind of, it's just unbelievable. If I even began to tell you the story there. And so that's how I know the importance of external signs to guide you. But a lot of people in personal development don't like to hear that. The psychic realm, they love to hear that. In personal development, it's like, well, wait a minute, it's your mind that controls what you want. Yes, there is the universe that brings it to you in line with your thought. But if you're totally open and detached, you then free your mind to say, well, you're free to open up. I hadn't thought about this. Maybe this option would be better. I didn't even think about it. This could be an option that might reveal something or the next step. Jack Canfield, who I assisted at one event at a seminar company, I was a volunteer, and he said that, and he says this in The Secret, he said that you only have to see 200 feet out. And I guess what he's saying there, and this is important, is that you'll get led, you'll kind of know where you need to go for a little bit. You don't have to have it all figured out. And then from there, there'll be things that you could not have met, places you could not have been yet in this physical realm, options and opportunities that just have not occurred to you yet that are unfolding. I could give you many examples in my own life, but what matters is in your life. And another thing that I'll tell you too is, and I did send you this in an email, this is pretty important, you'll start getting the same name over and over again. Somebody will say something to you, and it isn't like you're giving it a great deal of thought, but it comes to you over and over. Somebody says, well, have you read this book? Have you done this? Have you thought about this? And then all of a sudden you come across a newspaper clipping randomly. Not that you're actively seeking it, but randomly. And or maybe you do some activity that you normally hadn't done, and then all of a sudden that name or the place pops up. If it keeps coming, then maybe you want to look at it. It doesn't mean that you have to do anything with it, but why is it coming up, over and over again? Excuse me. So it's fascinating to think about. So the other thing is, all this aside, do you want change? Do you want to bring about change? Is there some sort of internal healing work that you can do first that would, take care of everything? Like, not to say that needs to happen. What I found is, can I make sure I make peace with everything that I have going on in my life before I take on something new? It is interesting sometimes. Michael Neal, that life success coach. He's a success coach, I should say. Sorry. He says you don't have to hate a job to leave it, and I strongly agree. You don't have to. Now, some people leave certain situations, and I understand. However, you don't have to hate a job in order to leave it. You could find something better. So it goes to this idea that I love where I am, and I'm trying someplace else, or another job, or another situation, maybe another relationship, a new friendship. And then the change becomes an agent of not just variety or a new experience, but a learning tool to develop oneself and to teach other people something, so that you just kind of unfold. It just kind of, there's a new opportunity. I'll give you a perfect example. Yesterday, I was invited to a few events, and I went to places that I normally didn't go to. It was a lot of fun. Made some great new friends, and so some friends opened the door to other friendships that I would not have experienced had I not taken advantage of those opportunities and accepted those invitations and worked it out with my schedule. And so you can have change in small ways built into your day, and without making a huge change also. So that's something to think about. So I think that you can also change, have variety in your mind, just experiment. Say, well, I think I would like this. Maybe I need to test this out. And so it's kind of it's very exciting to just kind of play around with these things, you know. And the other thing is, where do you feel that you're being led to at this point in time to go? Because sometimes, have you noticed that the right place, wrong time, right place? You've heard all these combinations, right? Where sometimes people reconnect and they're at different spots in their life, right? And then further along, they get together and then they meet up and, oh yes, we matured, or we kind of are on the same page now, and they've changed, and now the change has brought them together. It is so fascinating to think about cases like that. So in any case, this is part one. We'll call this part one. But this is this is how do you know when to change? And again, to recap, that there's so many signs that could come your way if you ask for them, if you pray for them. You will know when you want to shift. There could be a variety of reasons, maybe a new job, family. You might get married and relocate, or have a significant other someplace else. You might want to just experience a new place. There's some people that really feel connected in certain places. They want to go and build their life there. They just know that that's the place. However, what's exciting about not putting your identity in any place that you're in is that wherever you go, then your identity is connected with you. It's connected to wherever you are, sure, and the people. However, it goes with you too, in a way, right? We're all connected anyway. Um, and so then it also becomes this idea of, do you want to change? Do you want to change, and knowing that there's no right or wrong answer? There'll be times too, just a last point before we close up, that you will make a change, doesn't quite go how you expect, and that's why we want to kind of let go of expectations. You kind of measure them by these expectations. Why I was expecting this, and here's what I did in this situation. And then you learn from it, and that gets you someplace else. But you wouldn't have gone there had you not had that first change and taken that first step. And you can read whatever you want into any situation, so why not get the lessons from it? You know what I mean? What lessons do you want to get from this particular situation? And that gets you forward. And what's interesting is you'll still have new experiences, yet your values start getting very clarified. And I sense that from you, Terry, that they are. Your values start getting clarified. You have these guiding principles that start taking you forward, that you just kind of aren't questioning. If you're not smoking, for example, or you're not drinking, and these are absolutes then for yourself, why do you need to go back to your values and question them? If there's certain life-affirming, health-promoting decisions, then if that's what you want, or you have some sort of idea about how you want to live your life, then you don't need to change certain things that are automated. Do you know what I mean? It's like if you have certain habits in place that are life-affirming or growth-producing, let's keep them. Let's keep them. And then the ones that maybe, you know what, I think I need to change this, I'm doing this, and I want to modify this, let me introduce a change in my day. Or some people, before you make the major life changes, sometimes you want to make those smaller ones, right? To give your psychology a sense of control, that in my mindset is I'm making these small changes, and now if I'm going to make a bigger one, I feel more prepared to do it. But it doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes people are thrust into some major change. And then you have to find a way to make it work. You have to find a way to learn the lessons and kind of surrender to it. And just kind of, where am I being led? Where would I like to go? What do I need to accept, right? And it's kind of like that serenity prayer, and then you just kind of move forward. So it looks like maybe we'll say a little more about that in another video, maybe part 2. However, I hope this gave you some insights into your questions that you had asked. And I just think it's so important to realize that change is also growth producing. And that change doesn't always look like how we think it needs to look like. This is really important. You just kind of embrace the change, take it for what it is, and understand that we're always changing. Everything's in flux anyway. I think there's not even at the smallest subatomic level they say is anything still. It is kind of interesting, right? Even the space, there's movement at the smallest level. So anyway, Terry, I hope you're having, and everyone, I hope you're having a great night, and I'll talk to you later.